Hello, and thank you for joining me for another episode of You Would Think. Today we're going to be looking at the defense's opening statement as we examined the Commonwealth's opening statement on my last video. Full disclosure, this is a trial channel where we talk about trials, discuss them, engage in commentary, and I am not an attorney. I do not practice law, nor do I have a law degree. Again, this is a trial channel, and it's just opinion. I do, however, have my degree in forensics and crime scene technology. So true crime cases and, trials have always been a bit of a hobby. So I figured, why not make a channel where we can engage together and I can get your perspective on certain aspects of certain cases as well. So again, today we'll be examining the defense's opening statement. So let's get to it. Okay, so the defense starts off letting the jury know that Lindsay was a very healthy and active, doting mother, which is in stark contrast to the Commonwealth's opening statement, where they just hit the ground running with emotion. And he mentions this a couple of times, and then he switches gears to advise the jury that when they go to view the home, that it's not going to look at all like it did when Lindsay and Patrick lived there with their children, because it is now owned by the new owner, a man and his wife. So he kind of gives the heads up to the jury on that. Then he basically claims that this entire case is a massive production put on by the district attorney's office, also known as the Commonwealth in Massachusetts. The defense states that Patrick had begun working from home largely due to be there to help Lindsay because she was going through such a hard time. And then he shifts the gears again and begins talking about the wounds on her neck and her wrist that the Commonwealth in their opening called superficial. And he threw up these large poster boards with zoomed in photos of these wounds. I don't know if he did this for a shock value or to show them like, hey, these were pretty deep. This was meant to unalive her. They were not superficial. Or both.
Point at different aspects of the case that show consciousness of guilt, that show that somebody's conniving. In this case, how many times we heard she faked the suicide. Faked the suicide. Little cuts, dinky little cuts, scratches you'll hear stated in the opening statement or time of the arraignment. That she asked for a lawyer. That's rich. You're going to hear evidence that she was in her bedroom after the horrific act in the basement. And that she was up in the bedroom, that she stood in front of the full-length mirror, that she took the knife that was in the kitchen that she had taken, and when she took the knife, she cut her throat in front of the mirror. This is no fake suicide. This is her when she was brought to the hospital. When she was in the hospital. That's what her appearance was at the South Shore Hospital. When she's at the South Shore Hospital, she had wonderful care and treatment that was able, against her will, to save her life. Fake suicide, little scratches, dinky little scratches. This is a photograph that was taken at the South Shore Hospital of her neck. Photograph taken of her wrist showing the split in the skin. Photograph showing you'll see evidence of this, the bedroom floor next to the bed with the blood. The knife next to the cup. Sadly, a gift saying, "Because kids." You see the white residue inside the cup? That's where the pills were crushed up with leftover lemonade from the night before when she consumed that. That's the knife. This here you'll see is sleep aids. See this here, deep sleep pillow spray. She couldn't sleep. She couldn't sleep for months. More photographs of the injuries to her neck. And then, in the course of the fake suicide speculation by the police, you'll see the evidence that she hung on the window ledge and, like Spider-Man, I guess, slid down the wall of the house. You're going to hear evidence that she flung and threw herself out the window, striking her head on the ground, full ground, causing what's known as a Jefferson fracture of her neck. She shattered, exploded her thoracic spine, shattered her cervical spine, the first disc, broke every rib. And the Jefferson fracture, you'll hear evidence, is not consistent with a fake suicide by any means. Jefferson fracture is consistent with Superman when he got thrown off the horse. It's consistent with people that have the tragedy where they dive into a swimming pool, as a result of which they get that fracture in their neck and they're paralyzed. She's paralyzed.
He then claims, that she was sleeping for about 2 or 3 hours a night at that point, and kind of began laying out some of the character witnesses that the jury would hear from, friends, family, nurses that she worked with as a labor and delivery nurse for 9 years. And they also claim that the Google searches where the Commonwealth was saying that she was looking up unaliving methods actually included a bunch of other things that was being looked up around that same time, including postpartum, insomnia, unaliving thoughts, etc. So it wasn't just one thing in a bubble. He shows the jury a demonstrative, a timeline of all of the different times that she tried to seek help by, which doctor, and which doctor prescribed her which medication. And then he showed another demonstrative of every medication she was taking and how often and how many times it was prescribed and then not prescribed, and seemingly to insinuate and really show that these doctors were not communicating with each other, and that's dangerous, so, you could say that the health industry has failed people like, Lindsay Clancy when it comes to mental health, but we just don't have all of the evidence yet to definitively say that, but it definitely appears like that's where we're going with this. So basically what he's saying is that, opposed to the Commonwealth's opening statement saying she did this deliberately and intentionally, the defense is saying this was a woman who was suffering from a postpartum psychosis at the time of the killing and therefore should not be held criminally responsible. So we will see how this trial unfolds. Thank you very much for joining me for You Would Think. I hope to see you again soon as we start getting into these witnesses. And please remember to like and subscribe and put all your comments and questions into the comments so that I can address them. And thank you so much. Have a great night.